Hey, there's a lot to talk about because there's plenty of football, there's basketball. We've got it all to talk about here on another Sunday edition of the Sports Rush. How are you, everyone? I am Brett Rump. Hopefully, we've got Adam Lundy joining us here shortly. But we are we are live, and that means you can actually connect with the show. We've got the comments open. You can comment any questions, comments, or suggestions. Just fire away, whether you're watching us on YouTube, whether it's on Facebook, maybe it is on X. We are available wherever you like to watch your favorite podcast. And don't forget, if you ever want to come back and listen, this, of course, will be saved once the live show is over. Busy weekend starting off with the college football playoffs Thursday and Friday. And now we know the national championship game is going to feature the Indiana Hoosiers and the Miami Hurricanes. We'll talk about that. We also have to talk about high school basketball. We were at a pretty good game, especially girls' game between Northrop and Snyder on Friday, but it sets up a huge Friday night out at Homestead and for both boys and girls basketball. And we're going to be there for both games coming up this Friday. We'll talk about that. We have college basketball with Indiana, Purdue, Fort Wayne, the Boilermakers yesterday. They took care of business, but it wasn't exactly the most impressive things. But sometimes you just got to win and move on. And the Mastodons did exactly that twice on the road. Now, it is not easy to get conference road wins, and the Mastodons made the trip east to take on Youngstown State and Robert Morris. These two schools, I don't even know if they're an hour apart, but for some reason, the schedule makers made this a Wednesday, Sunday, and gave the Dons a Friday bye. Just a screwy schedule from the Horizon League. And so the Mastodons, my understanding was the Mastodons were going to be making the trip like they always do, going to Youngstown State and then traveling down to Robert Morris. So I had said I wouldn't make the trip. Well, then it turned out being two trips, but I still, I guess, didn't make the final leg of the trip. So I kind of missed it today. But the Mastodons took on Robert Morris and got a victory. Big thrill. But anyway, the Mastodons get the win over Robert Morris after they defeated Youngstown State and got the win over the Penguins or Gwins on Wednesday night. So it was a long week, two big road games, and two wins for the Purdue Fort Wayne Mastodons. So really good week for the men. Women, they went on the same road trip. They went to Robert Morris. They played Youngstown State. Their two games happened to be a day and a half apart. They didn't even get a full 2 days of rest. They played Friday or Thursday night and Saturday afternoon. And unfortunately, starting at Robert Morris, lost on Thursday and followed it up with another road loss to Youngstown State. It's not easy to win on the road. Let's just get that out of the way. When you go into a conference slate, you're hoping to win at least half of your road games and take care of business and go unbeaten at home. Well, the Dons had one to get back because they had lost a home game to Green Bay. And apparently that's given Green Bay quite a bit of confidence. Either that or Doug Gottlieb being a full-time coach has helped that group. But Green Bay, one of the hottest teams in the league right now. They are, I believe they've improved to 5-2 in the league. They get another win today, an impressive win over Northern Kentucky, a game that they led by like 17 points, 19 points. It was 19 at one point in the first half. And they ended up winning it by 2, but they held on. And so Green Bay keeps pace with the top of the conference, which right now is Wright State, because Wright State went on the road and got a big road win at Oakland. In fact, that was a game that was a total blowout. I think Wright State had a 29-point lead. I don't know if it ever got to 30, but I know it was at least 29 at Oakland. And then Oakland started fighting back, but just not enough time. It was too little too late, and Oakland got beat by 10. And so Wright State is finding themselves in first place. Now, the good news for the Mastodons is they've got Wright State twice still on their schedule. The bad news for the Mastodons is they've got Wright State twice still on there. You don't know if it's good or bad. You gotta, if you're gonna win a conference, you gotta beat those teams. and you got to give them their losses and try to avoid taking one yourself. But you also know that's the cream of the crop right now. That's Wright State is first place in the league standings, and the Mastodons still have two games against Wright State coming up, so they're going to have two chances to make up ground on the Raiders. And so Wright State with a big road win against Oakland. Of course, the Dons dropped the game at Oakland, so maybe overall it wasn't a bad thing that Wright State went and handed Oakland a loss, since Oakland won the first meeting against the Mastodons, and the Mastodons still have two games coming up against Wright State. All right, trying to connect here with Adam Lundy, and I'm going to try to do something while we're actually doing the show. I don't know if it's a different link or not, but I just want to make sure that Adam can connect with us. So I'm going to go ahead and send Adam his link so he can make sure to join the show. That's all I got to do. I just got to click this button and send off a quick email, and boom, it's done. And I should be able to get Adam. We got to talk some Indiana football. It's the story of the sports world. In fact, Indiana might have the greatest sports story in the history of team sports. And I'm talking NFL, college basketball, college football. I don't know, as far as just as like Kurt Signetti said, if you were trying to make a movie about a great college sports story, I think you would make the movie about the Indiana Hoosiers and the turnaround under Coach Kurt Signetti. Two losses last year, one during the regular season, unbeaten during the regular season this year. The Hoosiers lost last year during the regular season to the eventual national champions, the Ohio State Buckeyes, and then lost in the playoffs to the team that eventually went to the national championship game and lost to Ohio State in the national title game, Notre Dame. So in 2 years, Kurt Signetti has not lost to anybody that has not played for a national championship. Because now that they're in the national championship, their next opponent is going to be Miami, who, of course, is playing for a national championship. So Kurt Signetti will go through 3 years at IU, never losing to a team that wasn't part of the national championship game. That is crazy. But hey, guess who's jumping on with us? It is the one and only Adam Lundy. Apparently, he waits to be invited, and then finally
Hey,
got his invite, so here he is.
I'm like a vampire. I'm not allowed in unless you invite me in. And I've now been let into the building.
Did it block? Did it block you? Is I don't know how that works because I'm always on this side of it.
I have no idea, but
Uh,
I finally got the email invite, and I'm
well,
in
I
here
had to
now.
do it. It was multitasking, Adam. You know me. I'm not the world's greatest multitasker. So I tried to
Hey,
actually, while I was talking, I was trying to type up your email address and everything. So
what did I
I
miss?
think I did it pretty discreetly, and I don't think anybody one noticed. Hey, while you're here, make sure you do subscribe to our channel. If you've not become a subscriber yet, now is the time. Go to YouTube, watch us on YouTube, be a subscriber, click the bell so you get alerts when we go live. And also, you can leave comments. And I know we've got some comments that are already coming in. I've got one from Nick Parker. Also, Ryan has weighed in. Um, Dub Bears. Yeah, we got to talk about the Bears. What a comeback win last night. I know I'm in jeopardy of alienating a few of the Packers fans we have. Adam, give me your rundown by percentage of NFL fan bases based in the Fort Wayne market. Like if I was just doing this for the Fort Wayne radio market, let's say, even though
Mhm.
now we stream over the whole world, but we know our niche. But if I was doing this for Fort Wayne, what percent of people that are sports fans in the Fort Wayne area are Colts fans among all NFL teams?
In Fort Wayne, I'd probably go with about 50 to 60%, somewhere right around there. And then I would give the Chicago Bears, a good 30. Uh, and then I would probably go like 20 and 10 with the Lions and Packers after that. But then you got to take into account the Ohio teams too. They sneak in here too.
Yeah,
So,
where I was at, I was at probably about 50 to 60% Colts fans. It might be slightly higher, but I would say six. Let's go with 60%
Hmm.
Colts fans. And then I would say number two is probably the Bears, and I would say that's 15 to 20% of the total NFL fan base. But then when you get to third, I think there's teams that are kind of sneaky. The underground fans in Fort Wayne. You've got Steelers fans,
Hmm.
you've got 49ers fans. I know a few of them. And I don't know why they're 49ers fans, other than that they might have grown up during the Joe Montana, Steve Young, Bill Walsh era, where the 49ers were winning championships. We know a couple of Dallas Cowboy fans. So there's that miscellaneous group. But
Hmm.
I would say it's Colts, Bears, Lions, I think, are third.
That's what I would say too. Yeah, Lions third.
Lions maybe 5 or 6%,
I
and
guess some
then you start going into that group that's Packers,
Bengals.
Steelers. Packers Steelers might be the next group as far as the secondary teams, um, and then uh, and then it kind of breaks off from there. I'm not sure where I would go at that point. You've got Cowboys fans here. You've got Bengals fans, Browns fans. We've got Browns
Yeah,
fans,
definitely.
those that have been inherited as Fort Wayne residents out of the state of Ohio. Mike Nutter. Dan Austin works with us,
Yep,
afternoon talent on K105. He's a Browns fan.
big Browns fan.
Anyway, so so
That's
getting
about how
back
I'd
to our,
break it
our
up.
college football, Indiana Hoosiers get the win over the Oregon Ducks, and everybody wanted to think, and you can back me up. I'm not making up stories just because it's after the fact. Everybody wanted to think that it was an advantage to Oregon to play Indiana a second time because it's always tough to beat a good team twice. I don't think it's as tough to beat a good team twice as it is to beat a good team once. I mean, beating a good team is beating a good team. I think where you do start to see the scale even out is if one team's won the first two meetings, and these are two really good teams that are very evenly matched, then by the third game, I think the odds, the percentages start to give the advantage to the team that's lost twice because eventually they're going to win one. It's like playing at the blackjack table. If the dealers beat you like four or five hands in a row, and you figure they're getting the same cards I'm getting, that eventually it's going to be my turn. And it's kind of the same thing. It's like eventually the two teams are going to somehow even up because you figure if these are two teams that if they play 10 times, one team wins five, one team wins five. But I don't think that was the case here, Adam. I think Indiana was a distinctly better team than Oregon. I thought they dominated Oregon, but a couple of plays, the pick six, a couple of other plays, let Oregon keep that game reasonably close, and it was at Oregon. And I don't think Indiana was playing their best football yet. But I think now Indiana was playing well enough that I thought they were going to comfortably beat Oregon. Now, it is very hard to come out and say, I'm going to pick the score 56-15, or it ended up, I think, 56-22, but it was basically a 56-15 game, and the backups put a touchdown up that was meaningless late. But nobody's going to predict 56-22. I predicted 34-20 and thought it was a fairly bold prediction based on a the spread, which was what, 4.5, 5.5 points.
Yeah, I mean, it was less than a touchdown, and I had 27-20 because, I was just going by I was looking too much at their past matchup as well a little bit in my score prediction when it was that 30-20. So, you know what? Credit to the Hoosiers for absolutely laying a walloping on the Ducks down there in Atlanta, man. I said it last week, with the Rose Bowl, but after this week, it's just further evidence this is one of the best turnarounds of a program we've ever seen.
When you consider the coaching staff at Indiana and just how good they are, you give them 60 minutes of game film for them to look at of how their team matches up against your team. Then it becomes which coach is going to have his team more prepared Which team has the cerebral advantage, has the intelligence advantage because they pick up on some reads or see some things they saw before. And I give that to Indiana. I mean, it's a smart football team that plays very disciplined football. They've got a terrific coaching staff, and this is no knock on Dan Lanning, but I think people are starting to agree with me that Kurt Signetti might be the best coach in college football. And welcome to the bandwagon. I've been your conductor and your driver of this bandwagon from the beginning. But the reality is, I think people are starting to see there's something special about this Indiana group. It starts with coaching, then it becomes the players and how well they execute game plans and how well they play together. There's no unselfishness, or there's plenty of unselfishness. There's no selfishness. It's not like one guy wants his fair share of carries or catches. I mean, you look at the two running backs that have played together throughout the entire year with Hemby and Black, and you realize those are two guys that probably could be a featured back and play 75% of the downs, but they don't. They split it almost 50-50. They split the carries almost 50-50. And then the receiving core, where you've got three guys that could easily argue they're the number one receiver for the Indiana Hoosiers. I mean, I don't know who you call the number one receiver. Is it Surratt? Because Omar Cooper made the biggest catch of the year at Penn State. Is it Charlie Becker? Because Charlie Becker has maybe performed better than either one of them over the last month of the season. I mean, it is such a balanced team, and it's not necessarily that this team is going to have 10 first round draft picks, but this team's got a lot of guys that are really good college football players, and they all perform at their potential, and they generally don't slip from that. They play right up to their potential, and they do it every single game.
Yeah, Ryan commenting, making a great point, saying the preparation and execution are like something we've never seen before and may never see again. And he's right. I mean, there have been, the Hoosiers look so prepared on both offense and defense that I've seen accusations of cheating on
Yeah,
social media. I've
yeah.
seen accusations that they know the playbook of the other team, but that's just a credit to how prepared that Signetti and his staff has had this team. And it was another game where, like we said last week, if you had to point out a flaw, a weakness in this Hoosiers football team, what would you point out? You asked Shannon that question. But again, it was another week where we saw every facet of the team being completely locked down, whether it was defense with their scores for that ended up going towards the final score, or Mendoza looking surgical as he's been. It's just really a testament to the coaching.
That's and that Indiana made a statement on the very first play of the game on the pick six, where D'Angelo Pond stepped in front of the receiver, took it into the end zone. Indiana had the lead. Their offense hadn't even been on the field, and they were already up 7-0. But just a very prepared, methodical effort against Oregon. And I'll tell you what, people are appreciating what Indiana is doing. They finally have noticed it, and they are showing some respect. Last year Indiana did fairly similar things. They only lost during the regular season at Ohio State. Not the worst loss you could have, although they didn't perform well. And for many people, that was their one look at Indiana. Oh, they got a second chance to see Indiana, and that was the college football playoff against Notre Dame, and they got rocked again. And so a lot of people, I think, in their minds remembered those two moments because they were the only Indiana moments that they had seen from last season. And they came into this season and think, yeah, the same thing's going to happen. They do this. They did it last year. I know how it is. And so all of these people that were saying, first of all, Alabama would just totally smoke Indiana and it would be a dose of reality for the Hoosiers, et cetera, et cetera. Those of us that have watched Indiana football and actually have paid attention knew that that wasn't going to happen. It was not going to be even close or competitive. Indiana was a better football team than Alabama. I was hearing a lot of the same things about Oregon that, well, they may have gotten Oregon the first time, but that isn't going to happen again. Indiana's just not as fast or athletic or physical. And it's like, dude, do you watch football? Before you go on YouTube or TikTok or any other place that you're posting your nonsense, you might want to actually watch a little college football and learn something about this Indiana squad. They have the best quarterback in the game. They have outstanding skill groups. I mean, running backs, receivers. They've got the hoggies up front. Is that what he called them? The hoggies?
I'm not
Mendoza
sure.
was talking about the linemen. But the offensive line, the defensive front, they're active, they're physical, they take away the run. I mean, Oregon struggled to even get back to the line of scrimmage when they handed it to a running back. 10 tackles for loss in that game, 3 quarterback sacks. Indiana was sending Oregon's offense in reverse. It's been one of the most dominant seasons. And so the question comes up, and I think it's a fair question to start to ask about. And we're one win away from where it really being relevant, but this could be the first team to go 16-0 in the new format of the college football playoffs. I think a lot of people want to compare Indiana to the Joe Burrow, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, that LSU team. And I guess the question is, which team is better, and is this the best college football team of all time? If they win, and they win even slightly convincingly against Miami, because remember, they're going to Miami to play Miami for a national championship. It ends up being non-neutral site. It ends up being a home game for the Miami Hurricanes. But the bottom line is, if Indiana wins this game somewhat comfortably, does Indiana put its stamp on the history books, going down as the best college football team we've ever seen play?
Give me a good reason why it's not an undefeated season. Big Ten championship over number one ranked in the country at the time. Undefeated through the playoffs, obviously, to make it to the championship game, and then going and winning on the but not basically winning on the home field of the opponent for the national championship. Has anybody ever done that before? Probably, but I'm not going to go back in the history books and verify it.
Anybody that can get me a media credential, I am offering my services to make that trip down to Miami. I've done
Yeah,
this before for games in Miami.
yeah.
Nobody takes me up on it.
You don't even need
Uh,
hotel. You don't need hotel.
I don't
So
even need hotel. You don't have to pay for hotel.
just get him in there. Get him in there.
Just,
Someone.
just, yeah. In fact, well, I can't say I can cover the plane flight because I looked at the flights and they're about as expensive as tickets. By the way, have you looked at tickets for this game? If you're thinking, maybe, boy, that'd be kind of fun to go down and watch. And I saw that atmosphere in Atlanta and that looked crazy. Get ready to pony up for a pair of tickets. At least $8,000 for a pair of tickets for the nosebleeds in Hard Rock Stadium.
Nuts.
Now, I can tell you that the upper level tickets, they're pretty high up, but they're not the worst seats that you can get in a football stadium. But they ain't worth $4,000, I'll tell you that. And airfare is going up as well. I'm sure hotels are ridiculously expensive. I don't have to worry about that, but it would be kind of fun because, I mean, who knows? Kurt Signetti, I said this on my short little video, Adam. Kurt Signetti has not been a comic, but he's been a prophet. We thought he was joking, that there was some sarcasm when he said, first off, Purdue sucks, but so does Michigan and Ohio State. Well, it turned out he's beaten all 3 of them at least once now. Beats Ohio State for a Big Ten championship. He's 1-1 against the Buckeyes. He is 1-0 against Michigan, and he's 2-0 against Purdue. So he was not lying when he said that. We thought it was a joke. We all got a good laugh out of it, right? The press conference when he said, "I win. Google me." Thought, boy, that's a guy that's a little full of himself. Welcome to IU. I mean, does he realize he just took the Indiana Hoosiers job? All I do is win. And all he's done since taking IU is win.
I mean, he's the best college football coach in the country. I mean, we can just go ahead and lay that on him right now. There's no question about that.
And the best one was when he was questioned about all these other job openings, the Penn State and other job openings. What did he say?
Why
He
would I want to
said,
go?
"I'm building the next great college football superpower right here in Bloomington. Why would I leave?" Well, he wasn't really joking about that either.
Nope, and like we've mentioned in our past couple weeks, he's still killing the transfer portal. I've seen a couple new commitments to the Indiana football program today that look like quality players out of the transfer. I've also seen he's added some high school 5 stars, so he can hit the high school trail as well. So he can't. It's not just 22-year-old super seniors anymore.
You look at what he has done so far in picking up the transfers, and it's not like he's picked up a ton of them, but he's picked up some key guys. Now, his nucleus that he brought in from James Madison, they've played a huge role in these last 2 years. Um, but getting Mendoza, huge pickup. He's got the Josh Hoover kid out of TCU lined up for next year. He's also got Alberto Mendoza, who's going to be coming back, we expect. Um, but if you're a transfer or if you're a high school recruit and you watch this team and see how they're coached and how disciplined and how well they play and the improvement that players have made and guys that came into college football as no star players that are now going to be NFL athletes playing on Sundays, guys like Aiden Fisher. I don't think he had a single star. I don't even think he was being reviewed on the boards. He was just a guy that loved to play football and was a little undersized, and he got his opportunity and he made the most of it. Ended up at Indiana, where he's become an All-American. And you see that you're like, that's the way I want to be developed. I want to get my shot. I want to be a part of what's happening in Bloomington. You see the celebrities, Mark Cuban with a major donation. That means now there's money behind Indiana. John Cougar Mellencamp or John Mellencamp or Mr. Mellencamp, whatever he calls himself these days. You've got the largest alumni fan base in the country. The way they showed up, that was ridiculous, wasn't it? In Atlanta,
Oh man, I knew it was going to
95% of
be.
that stadium was red.
I knew it was going to be a good Indian turnout. I didn't expect 95%, but man, not a lot of green to be seen down there at the Peach Bowl.
Yeah, I thought they'd have the advantage, but I mean, they completely locked Oregon out of any chance of coming. And so now it'll be interesting going to Miami's home stadium. Can they do it again with the ticket prices what they are? Mark Cuban needs to make a big old donation and buy up the stadium and give out tickets. What a great promotion it would be for Mark Cuban to do such a kind thing.
Yeah, if anybody has the money, it's Mark Cuban. So that would
Well,
be
Ryan
fantastic.
Ryan's saying that he's heard Mark Cuban gave $1 billion to IU. I don't think it's a billion.
$1 billion. I
Yeah,
don't
I
know,
don't
but
think it's a billion. I
still, it was a
I
good
would
one.
not be surprised if it was 10 to 20 million
Me neither. Yeah,
as a chunk to put into NIL funding. But Ryan, I want to know who told you $1 billion, because I
one
mean,
billion
he's
dollars.
a good businessman, and I'm not sure he's got a heart that's quite that big, because that's a lot of money to give away for your favorite college football team. $1 billion. That would basically build a new stadium.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
that's
mean,
what it's for. Mark
who
Cuban,
knows?
Mark Cuban Field and Bloomington.
Cuban Stadium. Yeah, I don't know how good that's. Cuban
Um,
Stadium in Bloomington.
all right, some great stories. Fernando Mendoza, for the sixth time this season, He throws for more touchdown passes in a game than he has incompletions, or at least as many. 6 times this year. 40% of the games, Mendoza throws for more TDs than he has incompletions. Watching the NFL this weekend, you got a chance to see some of the quarterbacks and some of the elite throws that are made. And we saw as good or better throws being made by Fernando Mendoza on Friday night than anything we've seen in the NFL. And I'm not taking anything away from the NFL, but Fernando Mendoza can make all the throws, the short out route, the intermediate out route, the post. He can send a deep crosser. He can throw the fade and lay it out there for his man to go make a play like Charlie Becker did when he went up on that 50-50 ball. Just put it in a perfect spot for Becker to go up and get it in almost a jump ball situation. He's mastered the back shoulder throw. He uses that frequently with Elijah Surratt, and it seems like their timing is always impeccable, but the ball is also right there on that back shoulder. I mean, the one thing about the back shoulder throw, that's not a natural thing. When you grow up throwing a football, you're not throwing back shoulder throws unless you're just a bad quarterback and doing it by mistake. He actually is intentionally throwing it slightly behind. But to get that down where you know where the receiver is stopping, where the defender will be, so that you can tuck it in that back shoulder, it's a skill. It's a rare trait for a quarterback just to have that almost subconsciously. He's great at it. I mean, he makes every single throw. He's obviously a terrific human being. And
Crushed his
little
interviews.
goofy at times.
Yeah, but it comes off as authentic, though. It doesn't come off as forced or
Yeah.
anything.
I mean, he's just joyous about everything.
But
But
yeah, that's go ahead. Go ahead.
no, I was just going to say the other thing about him is he also is a great disciple of the game, and he's not one of those guys. We heard the rumors about Anthony Richardson and whether or not he was the guy committed to the film room and to the study. And clearly, Fernando Mendoza has been a freak. I mean, he's been Peyton Manning-esque when it comes to studying the playbook, studying the game plan, watching film, trying to figure out reads in the defense. I mean, the greatest of quarterbacks were those types of guys. Tom Brady. Tom Brady would know what the defense is before they even lined up. He could just see in the eyes of the defenders what kind of defense they were playing. And that's the kind of thing Peyton Manning did. Fernando Mendoza is doing that. I mean, he's one of those guys that's almost a can't miss prospect because he's got the skills, he's got the athleticism, he's got the size that NFL teams love, and there's nobody questioning his brains or work ethic. The whole package is there.
Yeah,
But now let me tell you where there's stupidity. The people in the NFL that think that Kurt Signetti is going to go to Las Vegas just so he can continue coaching Fernando Mendoza.
no, that's not going to happen. I
Yeah,
don't see it.
Signetti wants to take over the worst NFL team with all of that NFL pressure in a league that he's never coached at before and leave what is a lifetime deal. The guy is 60, what is he, 62 years old or something? He's cruising toward retirement and he's never got to worry about searching for a job again right now because I don't think Indiana is ever going to let him go. And if they do, it's going to take 5 or 6 years of really bad football before they do it. And by then, he could just say, screw it, I'm retired. And so he never has to go on a job hunt again. He certainly doesn't have to worry about paying his mortgage. I mean, Indiana has upped it. I mean, I think with the bonuses and everything, he's going to end up pulling in like 12 to 15 million dollars this year, right?
Right, and he'll also never have to pay for a meal in Bloomington for the rest of his
Yeah.
life too, especially if he
Yeah,
wins
that
the big
beer
one.
that he wants to go drink after the game, I don't think he's the one that has to buy it.
Nope, I'm sure that's on somebody else. But going back to Mendoza, I mean, like you said, if you just look at the box score and you just see that, he's 17 of 20 attempts and there's a lot of Indiana rushing, you can easily look at that and think, oh, that's a quarterback who just, made the throws that he needed to. They were probably short and he was probably carried by his rushing game of his offense for a good portion of the game. And that's great for him. He can be a system quarterback, but that's not what you see when you actually watch the game. Some of those 17 completions were, some of those long game breaking sort of plays that we've seen him make, not just against the Ducks, but all throughout the playoffs and earlier in the season. So he's not just a system quarterback. He's a quarterback that you can also rely on to make a big play or a big throw, especially in tight situations, late game sort of situations, end of half sort of stuff. So yeah, it's easy to overlook him just from the box score, but there's a lot more there.
Our our comments are now being overwhelmed with billion or million.
How much money does Mark Cuban have? How much did he
Yeah.
give?
Now, could Mark Cuban have made $1 billion commitment? I don't know that he would have written $1 billion check, but I could see where he could maybe say over the next 10 years, over the
Yeah.
next 20 years, I'm going to commit $1 billion to this program. Okay. Because he does have that kind of money. And, how much is enough? And Rick Longsworth said he Googled it and his net worth is like $6 billion. So it's there. All Mark Cuban would say about it when he was confronted and asked specific questions about his donation to IU was he said, IU is much happier this year than they were last year. And I'm sure it was a big amount, whatever you consider a big amount in today's NIL world. I think Indiana is well taken care of. And now, are they going to have the money to build a new stadium? I don't know. Do they need one? Yeah, they need more seats. 57,000 seat stadium isn't going to be big enough now that the Hoosiers might win a national title. They're going to have to figure out how to get more seats in a Memorial Stadium or build a new stadium. But Indiana's been willing to invest all other areas.
Yeah, no question. And just for reference of his past donations, he gave Indiana $5 million for a sports media center in 2015, and he gave $6 million for the school's rugby club. So if he's willing to give up $6 million to fund the school's rugby club, and he calls this one a sizable donation, I don't know. We might be looking at over 10, but I don't want to speculate too much.
Yeah. I mean, right now, 10 to 20 would be a considerable donation to the NIL funding. And the question too, is it for athletics? Is it meant to be distributed between football and basketball? Who's got the discretion as to how that money is used? Um, is it directly through an NIL collective or is it just a donation to the athletic department? I don't know. But I know that Mark Cuban's got very deep pockets and Indiana's very happy that he does as of today. I can say
Yep,
that.
it's good to
So
be winning.
Indiana, Miami. Well,
Woo!
Indiana recruited a scout. And now you're going to have one of those situations like the dude at Michigan where somebody's going to start saying, "Hey, there's a guy on the Indiana sideline, and I saw him on Miami sideline a lot this year. He was probably stealing their signs," and it might be true. Brock Schott, local guy out of Leo High School, spent his freshman year with the Miami Hurricanes, and just over the last week or so, left the Hurricanes. He's now with Indiana, and so wow, what a weird feeling for him going back into the stadium that you've called your home field all year long as the road team now with Indiana to face your former team and all your teammates from this season in the Miami Hurricanes. But that's part of the weird transfer portal dates. These kids have to decide to leave a program that's still playing in the postseason. And then he happens to jump to one that's still playing, and now they're playing each other for the national title. And he's probably still got his Miami gear. Hope he wears the right clothes. Hate to see him on the sideline wearing some Hurricane shoes on the Indiana sideline.
Yeah, but no, that is really cool that he will be coming back to play for the Hoosiers. Definitely a quality player. So looking forward to seeing him in the Korean Crimson.
I got to throw this in. I don't even know because none of our topics really match it perfectly. So it was not going to be a smooth segue for me to mention this topic, but I thought about it over the weekend because somebody had an argument with me or at least a debate and brought up a really good point. We were discussing it saying, why are kickers so underpaid in the NFL? Why are they so undervalued? Why is a guy like Lucas Wynn from Bishop Dwenger, who can kick 50 some yard field goals, why is he not being aggressively recruited by a college program. Um, Field goals make a difference. And I started to think about this, and I thought, in reality, and this when I say reality, it's not what they earn; it's their value to the team. Aren't they the number two player on an entire football team as far as importance and value? To have a reliable, good kicker, especially at the NFL, where a lot of games are decided by a field goal. I mean, just look at the playoffs. Look at the Packers last night. Two missed field goals, missed extra point, cost them a football game against the Chicago Bears. Um, and and I started to think, why are they among the cheapest players as far as pay on a team when they need better agents is what
Mm.
they need. They almost have to have their own union, the union of the foot guys. The game, the game is football, and they're the only ones that actually use their feet. Um,
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, they're usually some of the highest scoring, players on teams throughout
they
the
score the
season as
most
far as
important
points.
points of the game. I mean,
Yeah.
the Philadelphia San Francisco game. What happened? San Francisco scored, went up 7-0. Philadelphia came back, thought they tied it up, but Philadelphia missed
Aw.
the extra point, and it's still a 1 point San Francisco lead. That
Yep.
point could come back to be huge because right now, instead of it being a 4 point lead for Philadelphia, it's only a 3 point lead. So a field goal, again, coming back to the kicking game, could tie the score. And I'm just wondering, why are kickers not paid? You got quarterbacks making 45, 50, $55 million a year. Why are kickers only making like $1.5 million or $1 million for good? I think there's some that make 2 or 3 million.
Mhm. I think the argument would be that there's probably a better chance of a good kicker, waiting elsewhere in the reserves somewhere, just waiting for their chance to get onto a field, than you have chances of a top, quarterback, waiting in the wings. You know what I mean? There's always another kicker that's just coming out of
Yeah, there's
college.
always a quarterback out there that can complete 50% of his passes too.
Anthony Richardson. No.
There's a lot of guys that line up to make 30, $40 million a year and complete 50%. What I'm saying,
Hey,
and
I don't
so
know.
what I'm saying is the really good kickers. Why? What did Vinatieri ever? He didn't make 10 million, did he? He made 6 million or 8
6
million.
sounds about right. Yeah, 6 or 8.
But anyway, that was neither here nor there. Um, all right, so NFL playoffs. We got to talk about the Chicago Bears. What an amazing comeback!
Yeah.
Caleb Williams leads the Bears to the big comeback win against the Green Bay Packers. Who made the bigger statement in this game? Was it the Chicago Bears are for real, or the Packers' run is officially over?
Ooh. I think that's so tough because they're almost intertwined. It's like the fact that the Bears are back means that the Packers' run is over. You know what I mean? It just feels like because now the tides have turned, the scales have tipped in the balance of Chicago. That's part of the reason why the Packers. It feels like their era is dying. That was a terrible way to lose a playoff game last night, giving up that lead. And I'm sure they all feel pretty depressed about it and like they need to make some changes up in Green Bay. And like they said, Chicago Bears players after the game were saying, we're here now. So I'm going to say it's more of the Bears being here and ready to rumble.
It also shows you what getting the right coach can mean. Um, it's been 2 years that Ben Johnson was the hot name as far as an assistant.
Hmm.
And you saw Ben Johnson comes, takes over the Bears. The Bears win the division. And what happened to Detroit? Not even in the playoffs.
No, they
Ben
fell apart.
Johnson is a hell of a coach. I mean, that's when the team you leave falls flat on their face and the team you go to all of a sudden becomes a much better football team. You got to give him credit with what he's done with Chicago and his development of Caleb Williams because Williams now looks like a much more confident quarterback. It looks like a team that has confidence in him. I will say Colston Loveland is starting to look like a decent tight end. He's making some plays. They're figuring out how to incorporate him into the offense. And Caleb Williams found him a couple of times on some big plays last night. And now I still will say that there's no debate that Tyler Warren was a better pick than Colston Loveland. But I never have said that with the thought of it being a offending Colston Loveland or his
Right.
mother, who started following me on X when I said it. Somehow every comment gets heard or found.
Oh yeah, by moms
But yeah,
especially.
all of a sudden Mrs. Loveland showed up on my X as a new follower. I said, "Oh, I better watch myself now because now
Yeah,
I got mom watching." But
they'll
I
sniff
still
you
will
out.
say, and I will say this directly to her, and I might actually be saying it directly to her right now, that Colson Loveland's a solid tight end. There's no knock against him. Tyler Warren was the obvious pick if you needed a tight end in this past year's draft. He was the obvious choice. He can do more things in more positions, better blocker. Um, and I don't think the Colts have still hit the tip of the iceberg on what Tyler Warren can do. But but the Bears are kind of finding a comfort zone for Colston Loveland on the routes that he's running and some of the seam routes down the field, especially matched up on linebackers because of his height, his size, his speed, his athleticism. And he's going to be a good player for the Bears. But Tyler Warren was still the pick if you were looking for a tight end. Sorry. But no, Caleb Williams was good. I think the Bears are a good football team. I think in some ways this division dropped because of the coaching changes, because I don't think Green Bay is as good. And Minnesota, of course, was, I don't want to say a dumpster fire, but they had plenty of issues this year with the injuries at quarterback. J.J. McCarthy maybe not getting the experience he needs. He's not Anthony Richardson. He's above that. But, he's got to have time to get the reps and develop, and just not there yet. And so I think the Bears might be the best of the division. I think they've probably proven that this year. I shouldn't probably debate the facts, um, but I think Green Bay is at the end of this current era. And now the question is, what do you do if you're at Green Bay? Does the era start? They're bringing a new general manager. Does it start with a new head coach? Because here's what's going to happen. This is the way I see this. Okay, mark my words. You don't even have to mark them. You just have to come back to the YouTube channel because it'll be saved by YouTube anyway, whether I like it or not. We used to have some control over what got podcast after the show. If I said something really stupid, we didn't have to podcast it. Now, if I say something stupid, it's out there forever on YouTube. And believe me, everybody finds it.
Oh yeah.
But here's what's going to happen in Green Bay. They're going to decide to move on from LaFleur. They're going to hire John Harbaugh. Did you know? I found this out this morning that John Harbaugh has a home in the Upper Peninsula.
Huh. I did
The
not
Upper
know that.
Peninsula is just down the road from Green Bay. His family is from Michigan. His dad was the coach of Western Michigan, and that's not far away. It's just a hop over the lake. It's a big hop, but it's a hop over the lake to get into Michigan. He's a Midwestern guy. I think John Harbaugh would appreciate the idea of coaching the Green Bay Packers. To me, that's like, coaching one of the blue bloods of the NFL. So I, um, I think they will hire John Harbaugh, and Matt LaFleur will be then hired before you can blink by the Miami Dolphins, because if there's any place a guy that's coached his last, 8, 9 years in Green Bay wants to do, it's to head down to Miami and enjoy some warm winters for a while.
Yeah, I could see that happening for sure. It
So
definitely will
LaFleur
be.
to Miami, Harbaugh to Green Bay. And of
It'll be.
course, by tomorrow, they'll make an announcement that they're sticking with Matt LaFleur and it'll blow it all up. But at least that's what I'm thinking. I've got it on record. So if I want to come back and grab a short of it, it's on here. I've saved it. Because that's what I see kind of happening. I think Harbaugh would take the Green Bay job.
That's what. That's
Jordan
what
Love
I.
is not a drop. You look at Lamar Jackson and Jordan Love. There's not a lot of differences between these two, and I think he'll bring in some coaches to Green Bay. I think he would love to have the opportunity to coach a team that's one of the heritage franchises of the NFL. So I've got a Harbaugh at Green Bay, and I've got LaFleur ending up landing on his feet in Miami.
Yeah, I could see that happening. I think the thing that has to fall first is definitely where Harbaugh is going to end up, because I think that'll make the rest of the dominoes fall once one of those teams wins the Harbaugh sweepstakes. Ryan commented, somebody at church said that there was a rumor on Facebook that Harbaugh may coach the Colts. I don't see that happening, especially after the Irsay Gordon commitment to Steichen and Ballard for the upcoming season. So
No, and yeah, I don't see that happening.
no.
Um, I mean, if they were going to have a Harbaugh, why wouldn't they have Jim?
They could have, yeah, back when he was wanting to go to the NFL. But yeah, no, like I said, after the commitment to Steichen and Ballard for the next season, you're not just going to switch to Harbaugh and fire Steichen just
I
because he
mean, there's
became
a lot of
available.
teams that probably think Harbaugh's an upgrade from who they've currently got.
I'm sure, quite no question about it.
But I
But
thought it was odd, and this is where this all comes from, Adam,
Mhm.
is I thought it was odd that the Ravens announced that they were moving on from Harbaugh, and the next day the Miami Dolphins reverse course on McDaniel because they had said that he was going to come back next year, and they reverse course and let him go the very
yeah,
next day. And I thought, I think that's domino effects. I think that's cause and effect. That is Harbaugh being available, Miami wanting to talk to him, and Harbaugh not being willing to talk to a team that has a current head coach. And so they thought, this is too great an opportunity for us. We were 50-50 on McDaniel to begin with. Let's make the move now and open up the door so that we can talk to Harbaugh. But I think Harbaugh, just because of the stigma, the name Green Bay Packers. Now, the Miami Dolphins have some history, and it's a beautiful place to live. It just depends. But Harbaugh's a Midwestern guy. Um, I think I think the Packers organizationally are a step above where Miami is, and so I would put Harbaugh in Green Bay, and then say that means LaFleur is on the market, and I think Miami would jump at getting LaFleur and
hmm
bringing in a guy who's a annual playoff coach and somebody that has a pretty proven track record. I think he's the best they could get. So that's how I see it. And I
yep.
figure anybody that's lived in Green Bay for the number of years he's lived in Green Bay, he's going to be so dang glad to get out of there and go to a place where my wife reminds me today was like 83 or 84 degrees. My
Oh yeah.
son was out riding his motorcycle over to Naples. So,
Different world down there,
what was
but
the weather in Green Bay? Was it motorcycling cycling weather? Doubt it.
doubt it, man. Cold one. So
Um,
yeah,
all right, high school hoops.
good Friday night, good doubleheader.
Yeah,
Snyder winning both on the boys and the girls side in our 1380 the fan coverage. But good night all around.
good night because we got done early.
Yep, got to see the rest of the Hoosiers whooping on the
Got the whole
Ducks.
second half.
Yep, yep, and
It was 35-7 by the time we got home, though.
yeah, I mean, I was listening to the radio broadcast on the way home, and I mean, Don Fisher sounded like he couldn't believe it. I mean, it sounded like he was in seventh heaven. Just
Oh,
woke up and was dreaming or something. I don't know, but yeah, they kept on repeating. No, this is not the final score. It is 35-7 at halftime.
well, I think we were, I booked out of the Pizza Hut at Northwood. It's 5 minutes from my house.
hmm
And it was 28-7. And before I even got home, it was 35-7. And then it was halftime. And so we got a chance to see pretty much the second half. But what a game, Indiana over Oregon. But let's talk high school basketball because what we saw on Friday kind of sets up what we're going to see on this Friday. Look at the SAC. I've said all year I wasn't buying into Southside until I saw them actually play somebody. Uh, Again, no offense to Southside. I think they're a good basketball team. You have to be good to be undefeated at this point in the season. But I wanted to see them raise the level of the talent of the teams they were playing. I thought they were in some holiday events that were a lot of mid type teams. I thought they kind of underscheduled early in the year. Their SAC opponents to this point were not the teams that were contenders. And on Friday, they were playing Homestead. And I thought, we'll see what they do against Homestead. They got them on their home floor. Let's see what they do because I think Homestead is a contender in the Summit Athletic Conference. I don't think there's any question about that. And they got whooped. They made a run at them late, got it down to what, 4 or 5 points, but ultimately Homestead controlled that game for the majority of it. And so now we saw Snyder beat Northrop. I don't think it was their best game, but did Snyder look past Northrop? Maybe. Northrop was winless in the conference, and I think they're now like 4-9 overall or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But you've got Snyder and Homestead, and this sets up not only a great boys matchup where Snyder has just the one loss that came to Southside, and they're 3-1 in the conference. I think Homestead is what, 4-0,
Mm-hmm. 3-0.
3-0, and Snyder I believe is 3-1,
Mm-hmm.
and that's on the boys' side. And then on the girls' side, it can't get any better. The two teams tied for first with 6-0 records. Snyder and Homestead are scheduled to meet this Friday, and the winner will take a giant step toward winning the Summit Athletic Conference title. And the Snyder team is going to present a real challenge to the Homestead girls team. I know the Homestead girls team, they're loaded with Division I athletes. They've got them in all different ages. But Snyder has that big, the post, the freshman, Mackenzie White. That's something that Homestead does not have. They don't have a big post presence. And I think that's going to cause problems. It could cause foul issues for Gabby Helsum, who's probably going to be the player called on to try to guard Mackenzie White. That's going to be a real challenge. So it's going to be a really unique matchup between these two teams. Don't just assume because Homestead's got all the star power and they were the preseason pick to win state, etc., that Homestead's going to blow Snyder out. For most teams that play athletes in basketball instead of actually have a true five player, because a lot of teams don't have a post like Snyder has, those teams are going to get dominated by Homestead because when you match up athletes with athletes, Homesteads can really shoot the basketball and they're going to beat you. And they're very well coached. Rod Parker's a terrific coach. And so this is going to be a very intriguing matchup with the pressure, because Homestead also had a problem and lost to Norwell of turning the ball over. Snyder is going to try to force turnovers, and they're going to try to get the ball down low to their freshman, Mackenzie White. She is just a freshman. And that's going to be a challenge, I think, to Homestead. And we'll see, can Snyder guard Homestead? And will playing pressure defense and trying to trap and force turnovers will lead to Homestead buckets? We'll see. But it's going to be a great girls' game.
Yeah, no question. Got to see a little bit of White play on Friday night when we saw that Snyder girls game against Northrop, and they were definitely. She was getting to her spots down low, and they were going to her and getting the ball to her very well, especially in that third quarter, which led to that run that got Snyder the lead eventually in that second half. So definitely going to be looking forward to seeing if White can be a bruiser like that too, like you said, against the Homestead girls. Looking forward to that matchup.
By the way, I thought it was really cool because the way we set things up for Friday night, and I hope we do it again this Friday, to set it up so that the post-game show is the girls' post-game with you and Duke on site, because I thought that was pretty cool. But it also gave you a chance to be at a game, because you rarely are at a game that we're broadcasting or that I'm broadcasting, because you're usually the guy back in the studio pushing the buttons.
Yep,
And
Either
And
that
so
or I
you
have to
were
get to the
sitting next
post.
to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
You were sitting next to me for that girls' game, waiting to do the post game show. And I thought about this after the night was over. I thought, I'm not sure if Adam has ever been at one of our broadcasts because you're usually the producer in the studio. Is that the first time you've actually been to a game where we've been broadcasting?
Yep. Because, like you said, I've either been the producer or I've been going to the Pizza Hut to do the post game. So yeah, it's nice to actually have been able to see the girls' game, or at least a good portion of it, and hopefully, yeah, we will be able to do it this
And you've been at
Friday.
the football games because you produce and tech the pregame. So
Yeah,
you're
but
there. You're not in the booth with us, but
I usually have to leave by around the end of the first quarter or so, or around close right before halftime, so I can get to the Pizza Hut and set up for post game for those as well.
right. But you're at the event.
Yes,
This
I am
time
at the
you're not
event.
only at the event, you were sitting right next to me. And so that had to be
Very
kind of
cool.
a interesting experience.
Yeah, yeah, and like you said, the post game was really fun there with the atmosphere at Kilmer Court in between games. So yeah, let's shoot to do that again this Friday at
Yeah, I hope we
Homestead.
do because we will be bringing the doubleheader to life on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. We don't have to worry about half of our audience watching another game or listening to another game. It's about
Nope.
us on Friday. It's about us.
Me,
Listen to
me.
us, man.
No football to get in our way on
Our
Friday
feelings
night.
got hurt last Friday for all the people that said, "Yeah, I was watching IU." No, you weren't. You were listening to us. No, I wasn't. Yes, you were.
Hmm. Hmm.
No, so listen to us because we've got two great basketball games.
Yeah,
Snyder, Homestead, girls at 6, boys 7:45, right on the radio at 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. All right, we got to talk Mastodons basketball. They get two huge road wins.
I'm
Huge.
taking credit again. I'm
Let me
taking
tell
credit.
you, it's right here, man. Can you see me? Right here. Who
Mhm.
wants it? Who's
Yeah,
got the heart? Who's going to play hard enough to go get a road win? Because it's road tough, man.
yeah. For those wondering why I'm saying I'm taking credit, it's because they've been winning since I've been back producing on the soundboard for the games.
Adam
They
went
had
on vacation, and we had two producer that covered two games while Adam was gone. Those two games were Milwaukee and Green Bay. What was the Dons' record in those games, Adam, that you were gone?
0-2, and they scored under 60 points both games, I believe.
So clearly, those two losses can be attributed to our producer for taking time off.
Unfortunately, hey, I'm glad to be back, and I'm glad the win streak is back alive at 3 after that win today against Robert Morris. Great win.
And, it's tough to win road games in conference. I mean, you've got to be the aggressor. You've got to be the tougher team. You've got to withstand runs because the other team is going to make runs at you.
Yeah,
And I wish they didn't. The Mastodons had both of these games in, a chance to kind of put it away and make it
yeah,
comfortable, but it went right down to the last possession. They even had a turnover late in the game. I mean, with just seconds remaining. It's like, no, you don't throw the ball right into the sideline where they're going to be trapped. What are you
trap.
doing?
Yeah, it did lead to Robert Morris getting the ball, and then probably the block and defensive play of the game. We'll give it that, but you don't want it to happen in the first place.
I will, I think this would be, we have to remember to do this. If I ever take a day off again, we have to remember to hook a camera up to my computer while I'm watching the game and just to get my reaction. Because I will tell you this, it's,
It's a lot
it's,
different than when you call the game.
yeah, there's a lot of freedom in being able to actually say what you feel at the moment.
Yeah, we would not be able to air what you say there, but it would have
Not
to be a
not a couple
YouTube
of times.
special.
There were a couple of times. There was a missed layup, and you know me.
Oh no, you can't do that.
Oh no, you can't miss layups. I
Not on
always
the
say
rum
the
swash.
three-pointer is sexy, but layups and free throws win basketball games.
Free throws, those
And
2 ones
if
late.
you get to the basket, you've got to finish it. End of
Yep.
story. It's too
Yep.
hard to get to the basket to get a layup. You've got to make it. It's too hard to get to the free throw line. But when you do, you've got to make it. And so My computer survived any kind of outrage that I might have had over a couple of missed layups and a couple of missed free throws.
Good.
But I'll tell you this, the guys played hard, and love to see that effort. Defensively, I thought they were scrambling to shooters much better than they had earlier in the year. I think they're either getting more comfortable with the rotations, or the rotations have maybe been changed slightly, but they're closing out and they're not allowing the ball to beat them to a shooter and giving shooters wide open looks. Now, it did happen a couple of times today, and part of the defensive philosophy, no matter how you set it up, is always going to leave a guy open. I mean, every team, if you skip it in just the right place from the right angle, you're going to end up with a chance. Otherwise, you're probably going to give up layups on every possession. So it's going to happen occasionally, but I thought their reaction to some of the skip passes and stuff was much better. The one time I got wide open for a three in the corner, it was because they came and set a back screen on a guy and might have moved a little bit, but that's neither here nor there. I'm not going to make excuses, but they left the guy open who got a three. But this game came down to a final possession by Robert Morris with just seconds remaining, and their best three-point shooter lining up to shoot a three. And they ran a play where they threw it into the middle, which, of course, I've told you this before, Adam, because Youngstown State ran this a couple of years ago. And I said, if it's a three-point game and they throw it in the middle, I'm not even guarding the big man. I'm giving him 2 points. You want to turn and lay it in? Turn and lay it in. I'm guarding 5 guys on the perimeter.
Right.
And they lobbed it down low. He immediately caught it and kicked it out because the guy was running the perimeter, going through the old picket fence type of thing, right?
Right.
CJ Hadnot was chasing him all the way around the arc from the left side to the right side. The guy catches the ball, goes up with a catch and shoot. Here comes Hadnot. Hadnot went up and blocked, and I mean stuffed. This was one of those where it was hand on ball as the shooter was trying to shoot it, just stuffed it right back down on him. And the Dons came away with it. One of the greatest athletic defensive plays you're probably going to see to decide a game. I mean, we have highlights all the time on ESPN or on SportsCenter that are a guy hitting the three-point shot to win the game. Tonight, I hope for the top 10, ESPN considers, how about airing a guy blocking a three-point try that could have tied the game? Because that was that good a play. It was better than just making the shot, to actually be a defender that can go up, block it, and not foul. And it was clean as could be.
Super impressive foul. Like you said, he almost came from behind the shooter and almost jumped up to the front of him. And he got so high on the ball, he kind of got his hand completely around it and almost clawed it downward, which helped him get the possession
It's
of
like
the
he
ball for the
spiked it.
Dons.
He got over on
Yeah.
top of it and spiked it down.
Yep. Got a good
Incredible.
claw on it. Yeah. So huge athleticism there and just great block and game saving block there. So yeah.
Big buckets from Chris Morgan, who hit a
Yeah.
driving layup. He hit a couple of three-pointers. Max Nelson was huge, especially in the first half when the Dons were building their initial lead. Then it got closed up at halftime. Then they built the lead even bigger in the second half, and then it got closed up. But Max Nelson hit some monster threes. And Max Nelson hasn't had a typical Max Nelson year. And so we've been waiting, because it's not that he's a bad shooter. He's a great shooter. He just hasn't had the ball dropping in. And I can tell you a little bit, because I studied a lot of film on him. When he misses, they're just about 6 inches flatter than when they go in. Just a little bit of extra arch, just the way it comes off his fingers. But anyway, but he was dropping in triple after triple after triple. He's hit 4 of 7 from 3, and I think all of them were in the first half, if I'm not mistaken. I could be mistaken. 3 of them might have been in the first half, but he hit some big threes that helped the Dons get to a lead. And once you're playing with the lead, it's catch up for the other team, and it's a lot more energy that's exhausted trying to catch up. And Robert Morris had to make a couple of runs at the Mastodons, and that burns a lot of energy, and it's just a lot of energy to get back into the game. And then the Dons were able to withstand those runs and win the game. which is very tough to do on the road. You see a lot of teams come back when they're playing at home. So big win. It means that I get ice cream on the next road trip.
Nice.
But yeah, it worked out. Nolan got to do the game.
Yep. Yep. Made it
So
over there to Moon Township.
yeah.
And
So if he wants to trade me the game check for his ice cream, I'll give him ice cream.
yeah,
I'll
I
make
don't
that
know.
trade
I don't
because
know.
I think I'd come out ahead barely. But anyway,
Depends on what ice cream you buy.
yeah, it does probably with some of today's prices. Anyway, but a huge pair of wins. Dons now have the week off, which is nice. Get a little bit of a
Yeah.
break after 2 games on the road. But they're going to have a monster home game coming up next Sunday at Gate Center. We love games at the Gate Center because
Nice.
it's free parking, it's cheap concessions, and it's great seats with an incredible atmosphere. And Milwaukee is going to be coming in, and the Dons owe Milwaukee one because Milwaukee got the best of the Mastodons when the Dons could have jumped out of a boat and wouldn't hit water when they played in Milwaukee. So they're going to be better this time around.
Yep,
And,
that's going to be a
and
good
you'll be
one.
on the board, so they can't lose.
They can't. Not if I'm producing, and I will be producing on Sunday, next Sunday.
Once again, make sure you have subscribed to the channel. Make sure you give us those thumbs up. We're playing with the algorithm here. It's not for our ego. It's just to basically satisfy YouTube and let them know there's a few people that at least pay attention once in a while. So if you could subscribe and give us a like. What else is on the agenda this week? We were going to talk some IU basketball, but we'll get to that maybe on a special video. I watched most of the Indiana game yesterday, and they had that lead against Nebraska, but I got to give a lot of credit to Nebraska because that's another team that's showing a lot of toughness. They've won at Wisconsin, I think they won at Illinois, they've now won at Bloomington. I mean, they're winning some tough road games. So you got to give, but Indiana should not have lost that game. And again, there's some flaws in the roster construction that leave Indiana exposed in certain areas. They're not great rebounding. And so Nebraska took advantage of them and came back and won. But Indiana, I think Indiana's top 5 team, top 6 team in the Big Ten. I think that's where they're going to finish up.
We'll get to them when the football's done.
By the way, Rick Longsworth said he self-censored. During the Dons game, it is kind of one of those things that when you've got the headsets and the microphone and the responsibility of calling a game, you really can't react to some of the things that may frustrate you as a normal fan. I mean, this isn't something different. Where, but when you get a guy that gets to the basket and then misses a layup,
you can't sound mad. You can be upset, but you can't go off on
what the hell? Put it in the bucket. Yeah.
What's wrong with you? Yeah, no. Also, shout out to Ryan. He mentioned his Lakeland boys are 7-3. Got an NECC conference tourney time.
There's also every game, and I've mentioned this on the air, but I don't have the big reaction. But every game seems to, especially in a game that has runs or swings of momentum, every game has a shot or two that is the dagger, or I call it the money ball. That shot that if it goes in, the percentage goes from you winning at 60% to you winning at like 85. Like it's a huge jump if the shot goes in. Dons did get one of those tonight. Then they had a couple possessions where, again, I keep saying that somebody who takes a bad shot on a key possession, the team should just charge them with a turnover. Because that's all it is. You're just giving the ball up. It's turnover. If you have a bad possession, you should just count it as a turnover. But the Dons did have one of those shots that would have been the money ball 3 when they were rolling, and it missed. And shots miss, right? So it's not anybody's real fault. It just happens that sometimes the ball doesn't drop. But you always know that it's that, man, if that would have gone in. And that when you know that's then when the other team starts making their run back. Didn't make the
Sure.
money ball, and then the comeback began. But what was great is with all the momentum, all of the energy in the crowd, Robert Morris getting a second win, that the Dons were still tough enough to win the game, because that's what it's all about. You take the win and you don't make excuses for it. You don't, you fix some of the things that might have been a little broke during the course of the game, but you got the win, and that's what you want to do. You want to learn from a win, not have to learn from a loss. And
No.
Don's
And
got it done. Huge wins on the road at both Youngstown State and Robert Morris. Huge. That is a tough trip. Dons have lost both those games a lot of times.
oh yeah, it's tough.
Uh, all
But
right.
and yeah, I was just going to say real quick. John had mentioned during the broadcast that this is a Robert Morris team that had already made several impressive comebacks in second halves this
Yeah.
season. So the fact that the Dons were able to make that sure that didn't happen, this game was really good.
Yeah. And they came back. They just didn't win.
Yeah, they made an impressive comeback again, but it just wasn't enough. But it had
Wasn't
been enough
enough.
the
Not
one
against the
before.
Dons, man.
Nope, that effort.
But this team continues to get better. And so I hope fans come out next Sunday and check out Don's basketball.
Gate Center, be there.
Kids going to be free that day?
I don't know. They should be, but if
Better
not,
go
it's still cheap.
mastodon.com and check it out. Maybe, because kids free is a good deal.
It is a good deal.
Makes it a
But
lot of fun to bring the kids out and not have to pay for them. All right. That'll be it for today. Have a great week, Adam.
you
And
too.
I'll go ahead and I will kind of bump you out of here, but we'll talk to you later. That is Adam Lundy. All right. So once again, subscribe, like, leave a comment, whatever you can do. Let your friends know, share the channel, and we'll be moving on, and have a great week. Hopefully, I will have a couple of videos this week. I know we're counting down toward the big Indiana National Championship game against the Miami Hurricanes. Not much in college basketball this week because the Dons don't play till Sunday, but a big high school doubleheader coming up on Friday with Snyder at Homestead. Both games will be heard on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. We'll talk to you again. Thanks for joining us today. We'll talk to you again soon.